Good morning. Um, I'm here. I'm gonna eat a grapefruit with a couple of pieces of bacon, and I was watching something yesterday. Well, first of all, I watch a lot of true crime stuff, and just a lot of like auditing stuff and true crime. Some police seizures and all kinds of stuff that has to do with law enforcement or the government. I have a lot of stories about, police departments, police being corrupted. I had so many of those events that it traumatized me. I feel like I can't even go to a police department. I can't even go to a mental facility when I have a breakdown, because I have had a couple of breakdowns where it was just too overwhelming for me. And let me tell you about this one that I was thinking about. Oh gosh, you know what? When I just said that, all of them just went through my mind, what I've been through with the law enforcement. There was one incident that just baffled me on how law enforcement stick together and do whatever they can to come up on top and to not look deceiving or corrupt. It was probably back in 2004, because I remember I had just had surgery, and on the 20th, and this was New Year's Eve. I was at home in bed recovering, and I get a call from my sister who says, "Hey, can you come over here because she's beating up on my nephew?" And she is this terrible person. She's just, I can't believe that women can be so low. So, knowing that I had surgery and I was in recovery, and I was laying down resting, I got up for my nephew. Thank you, Lord, for this food I'm about to devour. Amen. Bon appetito. So, I called my girls. I said, hey, my two older ones. I said, hey, get ready to put some shoes on, let's go. We got to go to Bobby's. Sorry, I don't want to mention no names. So, they get their shoes on. We're just as we are. I don't even know what I was in. I can't even remember. But it didn't take not even 2-3 minutes to get in my car and drive to my sister's. And when I get there, his girlfriend, my nephew's girlfriend, is on top of him with the door open in the driver's side, hitting on him. So as soon as I got there, she turned around and she saw me and she jumped off really quick. That girl couldn't stand a chance with me, even if I was in recovery. So I told her, get off of him and get out of here. So she says, he has my keys. I go, give her freaking keys and let her get out of here. So at this time, he gives her keys and she goes in her car. And I asked him what was going on. And he was telling me about it. During this time, she's calling the cops. And from the police report, she told them that he had a gun on him, which he didn't. He had keys in his hand. So when the cops pulled up, they came 3 deep, if I recall correctly. Maybe 2 deep. 2 cars and probably a total of 3 cops or whatever. So, anyways, they pull up and immediately they're aggressive. They're telling him to get out of the truck. Put his hands up. Does he have any weapons? So he shows him, he puts his hands up and shows him he didn't have any weapons. And I told him, I said, he doesn't have a weapon. He doesn't have nothing. All he has is keys. So he comes out, he complies, and they throw him on the fucking ground. They slam him on the ground. Mind you, he's not resisting. They're just full force going at him. And on top of that, my nephew has a really bad asthma. Okay, so he uses inhalers every day and stuff like that. So when they're on top of him and they're saying, put your hands behind your back, they're normal, freaking put your hands behind your back shit, and they're just pounding on him while they're saying that. And he's not even resisting. So the fight goes from the driver's side of the car all the way to the back of the passenger side and the back end of the, because they're dragging him. And they keep saying, quit resisting, quit resisting. He's not even resisting. And I'm standing right in front of them, mind you. I'm about 3 feet away from them. And I'm yelling, he's not resisting. Quit beating up my nephew. He's not resisting. And I kept just repeating that. I said, leave him alone. Stop. Leave him alone. And on where I was at, I was probably about 3 feet still away from them. They were there beating him in front of me. And I'm on the other side of a 3-foot fence. So as I'm yelling these things, stop, you're beating him, stop. He doesn't, you don't need to beat him. He's not resisting. I look around and there's neighbors out, probably about 5 houses down, and neighbors across the street over the wall looking, watching. That's important when it comes a little later in this story. So they're beating him and they chipped his tooth. He's got black eye. He's beat up. They get him in the handcuffs, and I'm yelling, leave him alone. And my hand did go out there. I did not touch not one police officer. Because, it's traumatizing when you're seeing your family get beat the fuck up and you can't do shit about it. So they get him in the handcuffs all beat up. He can't breathe. He's telling him I can't breathe because they're on him and his asthma's flaring up. Because they got him in the dirt. So they get him in. They get him in the car and they come to me. There's another car that comes with 2 officers. They come to me and they're like, arrest her. I'm like, arrest me for what? For interfering in an arrest or whatever. Whatever they freaking charge me with. And I just like, I'm in awe. I'm like, is this what we call protect and serve here in this state? I don't get it. I just don't get it. So I comply, let them put the cuffs on me and put me in the back of the car. And I'm just repeating myself. I didn't do anything wrong. All I was doing was yelling and trying to stop them from beating my nephew up. And at that time, I had, when they finally got him in the car, I went and got the baby because the baby was crying. And I got the baby, and I, you know what, my timeline is wrong, hold on. I had picked up the baby, I had gotten the baby when they took my nephew out of the car and started beating him. I had the baby, and I didn't want her to see it, or him to see it, and so I gave the baby to my daughter, one of my daughters, and I told them, go across the street and wait over there. So they took the baby with them across the street, and at that moment, when my girls turned around to walk away, is when I had no defense. I had no defense with my case. So that'll be important when I tell you about when I went to court. So I get arrested on New Year's Eve, all jacked up, stitches, just straight out of surgery. And me and my nephew both get arrested. So we're both sitting, hold on. We're both sitting in the jail, the county jail, on New Year's Eve. He's all beat up. It's in this room where they have everybody all together, male, females. And I'm sitting with him, and I'm looking at him. His teeth are chipped. His eyes are all puffy. And he's totally beat up. And I just feel freaking disgusted. And I'm just like, I don't like that type of law enforcement that's supposed to protect and serve you. So if you know where I reside and you know what city I'm in Arizona, you know what police department I'm talking about. I didn't say sheriffs or nothing like that. It's the police department. And so we get out, you know, the following day we went to court, and they sent me a court date so I can go defend myself. So maybe about a month later or so, I went to court. I took my two daughters because they were my two witnesses. Before I went to court, I went to go gather all my witnesses that I was going to need for this case. So remembering the neighbors behind me and the neighbors 5 houses down were outside, I went, knocked on the door, and told them, hey, do you remember that incident across the street? Yeah. Well, I'm the one, the lady that was trying to save my nephew from getting beat up. And I need you as a witness. Will you be willing to participate? No. Shut the door. Neighbors on the road didn't answer. They were home because I could hear them, but they didn't answer. I'm like, what kind of people are you guys? But remembering when I was sitting in the police car, I noticed the police were at the house across the street talking to those people, and one went down the road. So you know damn well that they went and told them something about witnessing what they witnessed. I tell you, man, that shit was corrupt as fuck. So there goes my chance with those witnesses. So I took my daughters with me to court. We get to court. I see 3 detectives walking in. I see the police officer, one of the police officers that were there that beat my nephew. And then at the last minute, 2 more police officers in plain clothes went. And I'm defending myself. I have no lawyer. Thinking that it was plain and clear what they did was wrong. And I wanted to speak my mind and tell them the truth. There's no truth to my truth. The judge put the first officer on the stand. He was this detective that wasn't even around there. I didn't even see him, and believe me, I was very observant on the area, my whole environment, and who was there. That was not my first rodeo. So when they called him to the stand, I started to question him. I said, okay, mind you, this was a long time ago, so I don't know the exact verbiage that I used, but I said, I go, what's your name? And he told me, detective whatever. And I go, were you at the scene? No, but I was told what had happened. I go, well, then you don't have the right to be up on that stand. And the judge took him off right away, thinking the judge was going to help me here and the judge was going to listen. So they put the other police officer, and I questioned him, and he was there, and I asked if they saw me. On the police report, they stated that I knocked one of the police officers down to try to help my nephew get away, which is so untrue. I didn't even touch not one of them. And how was a woman like me, injured, fresh out of surgery, gonna knock a 230-pound officer down off my nephew? I mean, make it make sense, bitches. Piss me off. So he told his story. I got done questioning him, try to do my best on making him admit, especially that I didn't do nothing wrong and I didn't touch any, but they still insisted. So we went through the whole process. I think I questioned like four people there. And when it was my turn to get on the stand, their lawyer, which is a high-ranking lawyer that works, and he's the school district, the whole entire school district's lawyer. So, which is a big-time freaking lawyer. I'm like, oh, great. When he walked in, I said, oh my God, I'm not going to have a chance. And he questioned me. And I told him the truth. You know, I did not touch no cop. I wasn't trying to help my nephew get away. I didn't knock a cop down. I was injured myself. There was no way I could do all that. And then they asked all their questions, and then the judge asked me about my witnesses. They're like, were they there all the whole time? And I say, yeah. When you gave them the baby, what were they around you still? I said, no, they turned around, they walked away, and then they were watching from afar. That's when I lost the case. That's when I lost the case. She says, well, your witnesses aren't reliable because they turned their back, and how could they have seen you knock that cop down if they weren't watching you all that time? So that was it. They found me guilty. I had to pay $500 fine, and I had a 6-month probation. I was fucking livid. I will never trust system again. I will never trust the judges again. That was only one time when they did me dirty. The other times were a little bit worse. There was some essay things from them. I'll say that one for another story time because it gets good. So I paid them bitches their money and I did my time, and I will never look at that department the same way again. But if you want to hear more of my stories, because these things are true and I ain't fucking making shit up just so people can fucking watch. I'm pissed right now because it comes back and it triggers me on how corrupt our system is. It's disgusting. It's just totally disgusting. But that's all for today. I'm gonna finish eating my grapefruit, which is really delicious, and I'll come back with another one. See you guys.